Hey everybody, Benjamin Martin here from Embrace Resistance, and I just want to take a second and preview our 2022 FDIC class, Intoxicated Leadership, Thinking Strategically versus Reacting Emotionally. And personally, I couldn't think this video comes at a better time. I just finished writing Your Passion is Not the Problem. It's available on the website. I just pushed it out about a week ago, and I don't usually see things like that gobbled up, but 60,000 hits later, in less than 48 hours, I've clearly hit a nerve. And I think that's exactly why you need to have your butt in the seat when we come to Indy in April. Your passion is not the problem. And one of the things that gets us into trouble is when we care about something immensely and we let our passion and our emotions and how we feel about it start forming our language for us. And we start reacting to arguments that we encounter. And it may be something as simple as, I don't want to train today, which is counter to my values. Or it may be, I don't understand why we have to do this for the citizens, which is counter to the mission. And sometimes it's little things, and sometimes it's really big issues. Like, I don't want to commit to that interior space, even though it's very obvious to me that there could be somebody alive in there, and I'm going to put myself in front of that citizen. And those are big issues, and we see those every day when we look out across the social media landscape, when I have the opportunity to travel and teach in person and have conversations with you, or even just the messages I get, that we're having to lead folks who are choosing to put themselves and their comfort first. And that really bothers me. You know, we call it Embrace Resistance not just for this catchy name, but really because we understand that when leaders make decisions and they exert influence in their organizations, that there has to be a reaction, right? If they're making a decision, there's going to have to be something that gets left out or doesn't get spoken to while something else gets favored. And that's going to create critics, and it's going to create this reaction, much like what happens when you open a nozzle. And we don't shut our nozzles down on the fire ground when we experience this reaction. We have techniques and tricks that we learn along our careers, and we anticipate it, and we know it's going to happen. We're not surprised by it. But when it comes to people and having these conversations and challenging this crap that shows up at our firehouse sometimes, these attitudes, this entitlement, this lack of engagement, it's so frustrating. But that's the kind of stuff that as leaders that we're paid or that we volunteer in some of the volunteer organizations to step on into. Those are the conversations that our organization expects us to have courage to have. And words matter. If you've ever had an argument that or a conversation that didn't go so well for you, then when you step back and you look at it, much like you would do after a fire that didn't go so well, you can probably identify that there are moments that happened along the way where you said something maybe you shouldn't have said, or you said it in a way that you didn't mean to, or the person interpreted it a different way. Or perhaps you did it in a way that didn't make sense looking back, like you sent an email, or worse, you sent a text message. And those are the things that we do as leaders when we're uncomfortable, is we'll start to change how we communicate, and we trade efficiency for effectiveness. And that's really to our detriment, because if you've ever looked at a phone after getting a text message and you're like, I don't understand what this person's trying to tell me because I can't tell if they're mad at me, whether they're excited or whether they're being sarcastic, then you can imagine just how difficult conversations can be if you're trying to have them by email, or if you're trying to have them in a large group where everyone's got their own bias. So if you come to our class in Indy, we're going to talk about the anatomy of conflict. We're going to talk about how your body is perceiving disagreements. And when you think about conflict, you may think about a physical altercation, and that's certainly part of it. But what we're talking about is when we perceive social threats, right? Threats to our status, our certainty, our autonomy, our relatedness, and things that we see as fair in the fire service. And then once we understand what's happening in our bodies, we'll talk about the neuroscience of what then does that cause to happen in our brains. And it's not hard to see how we can get things like tunnel vision and auditory exclusion. It's not hard to see how our working memory affects our inability to control the resources we have, whether it's our language or whether it's people reporting to us. I can explain, looking at the brain when we're under pressure, why we miss victims in our size-ups. But I can also explain why we miss people's body language that's telling us they're clearly not on board with what it is that we're saying or doing, or asking from them. These are just a few of the things that we'll talk about in our 90-minute session. So if you're interested in leading, and certainly if you're already in a leadership position, I hope you'll stop by and you'll give it a chance to set in. We talk a little bit about emotional intelligence, but the thing that I would want you to know more about this class than anything else is this is not a leadership theory class. Right? You're going to get the mistakes that I have made along the way and the things I have learned in academia, working on the PhD in industrial psychology, which is basically the motivation of workforces and why we do what we do. And I'm going to save you all that reading, and I'm going to save you all that heartache, because I'm going to tell you what happens when you step on certain landmines, and then you can go be better than I was at my point in my career. I hope you'll give it a chance. I hope you'll visit the website, www.embraceresistance.com, podcasts, articles, blogs, lots of stuff that you can use. Take the good, leave the bad, and reach out if you have any questions. We'll see you in Indy.